I go into the Blue John this day just on a walk in the park. And I get down into the white part of this canyon here, the floods that course through this landscape, just like we get here, those monsoons once or twice a summer, but it's an inch or 2 inches, comes all in an hour, and then it rushes. It's got nowhere to go. It hits the slick rock, and it runs down, and it hits the canyon, and it's picking up debris, whether it's sand or it's logs or boulders and canyoneers that might be down in there, and flushing it all through and scouring out the canyon. Now this day, as you know in the movie, this is where I meet Megan and Christy, the two young women from Moab, right? And we get down through this part. They're in the movie. They're like, "Ooh, it's James Franco." And obviously, I had to work at it. So they were not quite so excited, maybe. But they were very nice, and they let me come along. We strike up a good conversation. We're having a good time. You see here how quickly the canyons drop away. I know many of you have been out in the canyon country here. This would seem very familiar to you, but for those of you who haven't been there, let me explain that Megan is in the blue here at the bottom of the picture. She is about 30 feet in front of me and 50 feet down. Christy is about 15 feet in front of me and 15 feet down. So the perspective here is that we're dropping in over 100 linear yards. We drop more than 100 vertical feet into the desert. You get this sunken hallway feature. We're down here again, one of these halls of the presidents. Imagine like the armored knights in the medieval castle lined up against the walls. We're having a blast in this golden light calling to us at the end of the tunnel. We walk down through, and you literally walk through this light. It's beautiful. And we're taking pictures of each other, having fun, putting raven feathers in our hair, telling stories. And they invite me to come out with them to go out. They're doing a 5-mile loop, and I'm doing this 15-mile loop. I want to go see these pictographs. This is the same ones that I've seen a couple other images already. The Great Gallery down there in Horseshoe Canyon. It's part of the protected part of Canyonlands National Park. These are 6,000-year-old pictographs. So not the ones made by the people who created Mesa Verde and Chaco Canyon. Those are in that 800 to 1,200-year-old range. These are more than 5 millennia older than that. Some of the oldest artifacts of human civilization that we have on the continent. And they're protected, thankfully. These are protected. We're going to see a lot of stuff later on that's not protected. We already have, actually. But in Blue John, as I'm headed down now in the more open part of the canyon, that it's for about 2 miles, 3 miles, it's wide open. It's 80 degrees out. It's a beautiful summer, pre-summer day. I'm in my shorts and t-shirt, bopping along. I got my CD Walkman. This is 9 years ago. I didn't have an iPhone. Listening to music out in the wilderness, and this is a walk in the park. This is my vacation. I'm in my happy place. But I get down into the lower slot now, and it gets dark again, and I drop into the shadows at the bottom of that image. Here there's this passage where I have to drop almost 15 feet, go into this S-shaped log. And as I move down, there's a serpentine kind of cut out of the rock here. I have to drop my pack off one shoulder and suck it in my belly to make sure I don't get stuck. I'm stopped again in my tracks by that interplay. The sandstone, light, the angular structures here, the scallops, the striations. I mean, it's all, it's just screaming at you. Stop, take a picture. So I do. Move down through a gauntlet of boulders now, some of them the size of vehicles, where I'm crawling up and over, some of them under others. I get down to the lower part of this gauntlet, and there's a drop-off down here. This part, I always think of that the trench in Death Star. The Luke has to fly the X-Wing fighter down through, and it goes, and then 12-foot drop, boom. In a flood, this is a waterfall. And that 1 or 2 inches in this section would easily be 10, 20, maybe even 50 feet high, filling this canyon, moving huge rocks, some of them the size of a conversion van or a small house. I get up on top of one of these rocks, this one right in the bottom of the photograph here, looking down into the canyon in front of me, and I have to scramble my way down through in order to somehow make my way through the boulders that are strewn below me and not sprain my ankle. So I'm being very delicate here. I can't just hang and drop nilly-willy or willy-nilly. I don't know how you go. But here, I get as close to the edge of that front boulder, the top one, and I'm finally in a position where I am dangling from it. And I'm looking down, and I'm trying to look to see if maybe I'm going to land on one of these other rocks. And right in that moment, when I'm at full extension, I pulled the boulder loose. And now I fell to the bottom of the canyon. I land, I'm stumbling, I catch myself, and the next split second, a rock is falling from my head. Of course, I've only got the blink of an eye to respond, put my hands up to try to protect my skull, and that next moment, the boulder entraps my right hand, slams down between the walls of the canyon, and now I'm stuck. The pain, of course, rushes up through me. I'm adrenalized. I'm just like furious with this sensation and brain chemistry all at work that's flooding my body just as much as the water floods the canyons. Try to get myself free, trying to lift the rock, pull it, rip my arm free, anything. I just made this boulder move. How can I make it move again? And it's to no avail. I even tried cursing at the rock. It's if I could somehow channel Mel Gibson on an appropriately drunken night. You know? But no, that rock was not going to let me go. So I had to start working around my other options to try to figure out how I could get free. I set up a pulley system, anchor built out of my climbing gear that I had with me on the rocks above my head. I tried to lift the rock. I worked through trying to shout for help, but this is the only sliver of spot. Like, we can't even make a satellite phone call out of this spot. We've tried. I'm very much alone, standing in this 16-inch wide spot in the canyon. At my shoulders, it's only a few inches wider than my torso is there. I could bend my knees a couple inches here. And it occurs to me that I'm going to have to cut my arm off. I'm going to cut my arm off. Dude, you're going to have to cut your arm off. I haven't said that out loud. I don't normally talk out loud to myself, or call myself dude for that matter. In extremis here. If I can get free, if I could cut my arm off, well, what would I do? Would I go down through the canyon or go back the way I came? It's about equidistant, either to my bike or my truck, but no, I'll go for my truck. There's no water in that branch of the canyon on my way back to the bike, so I know that there's going to be a chance of water, at least on the way out. I come up with a loose plan, but still, that's the last option. I really don't go through that. And I chip away at the rock for 15 hours through the first night, trying to remove it up in the sandstone to get my hand free. To no avail. I'm not going to be able to, in a month, excavate my hand. I worked that pulley system over and over and over again, but I can't make the boulder move. I'm better off, in the end, actually putting my hand under the rock and trying to lift it, because with a dynamic, stretchable climbing rope, I'm sure most of the Boulder you guys know what climbing ropes do, they stretch when you fall on them or put force on them. That's why they're designed to not break your back when you fall. But in this instance, it's just eating up all the force that I can put into the system. It's a mechanical disadvantage system. Nobody's coming. I can't call for help. I'm 5 miles from the only dirt road in the eastern half of 2 whole counties. And this is still an area where you can go and hide out, plan a bank robbery if you want. It's not exactly on my mind. This is what's on my mind, my hand, disappearing into that possibly small shadow along the side of the boulder. It's horrible. I work and I work, and I go through day after day after day. Here, this photograph I take several days into my entrapment, because I know I'm going to die now, because none of the options I have are going to work. I can't chip through the boulder, I can't lift it, I can't call for help, nobody knows where I am, because this was a walk in the park, so I haven't told anybody about where I was headed. It was a choice that I made. And still, the idea of amputation, even if I could cut my arm off, I'm going to bleed to death on the way out of here. It's just a slow act of suicide. So I'm really just holding on. I know it's going to end. I know how it's going to end. But I'm going to do everything I can in my power to see it through to that end. I'm not going to use the knife to cut myself just enough to bleed to death intentionally. That was an option. It crossed my mind. But I set that aside too. And in a moment, when I knew that I was not just standing in the bottom of that canyon, but I was actually standing in my grave, I got my video camera out, I held it in front of me, and I started to say my goodbyes. I asked whoever finds this tape, please give it to my parents, Don and Larry Ralston in Centennial, Colorado. Be sure, I would appreciate it. Mom, Dad, I love you. Sorry. I love you. I go out looking for adventure, trying to prove something about myself. Now I'm going to die. It's just dumb. Dumb. That tape became my connection with my family. That video camera, when I was talking to them into that lens, I was bringing them to be with me. And I wasn't alone anymore. And that actually put a smile on my face. I was able to say thank you for all the things they've given me, including my sister, my upbringing, the family vacations, my relatives, the trips out to Utah where we went to the Grand Canyon, watched the sunrise over the most beautiful place on earth. All of this I was grateful for. And on that tape, which I still have, I've watched it any number of times, you can see there are moments when I'm smiling. I'm standing in my grave, and I'm smiling. That was that first thing that I mentioned about what are boulders, what they give to us, why there are blessings, why they can be the best thing that ever happened to us. I would have known that going into the canyon, that if I had one thing left to say,